Egypt blocks European activists in solidarity with Gaza. Today, we're diving into a developing story out of Egypt, where authorities have blocked dozens of European and international activists from participating in the global march to Gaza. Their goal? To protest Israel's ongoing blockade of humanitarian aid to Gaza and draw attention to the dire crisis there. Let's break it down. Over the past week, Egyptian officials detained and deported more than 36 activists, many holding European passports, as they arrived at Cairo International Airport. These activists were part of the Global March to Gaza, a movement involving thousands from over 80 countries aiming to march 30 miles from Arish in the Sinai Peninsula to the Rafah border crossing. Their mission? To create international pressure to open Rafah and allow critical aid, food, fuel, and medical supplies into Gaza, where the United Nations warns famine looms. Israel imposed a total blockade on Gaza in March, severely restricting aid to pressure Hamas. While Egypt has publicly condemned these restrictions, it's now cracking down on activists trying to protest at its border. Why? Egypt says the activists didn't obtain proper authorization to travel through the sensitive Sinai region, but organizers insist they followed protocols and coordinated with authorities. Among those deported was Bilal Nie, a Tunisian activist living in Germany, who said he and others were sent back without clear reasons. Meanwhile, Egyptian police stopped groups en route to Sinai, confiscating passports at checkpoints near Ismailia. Paul Murphy, an Irish Parliament member, posted on X saying, "We've had our passports confiscated and are being detained." Egypt's actions have sparked outrage. Some on X are calling it complicity in Israel's blockade, with one user saying Egypt is securing Israel's starvation of 2 million people. Others argue Egypt is balancing national security and its delicate ties with Israel, a key diplomatic partner. Israel's defense minister, Israel Katz, even labeled the protesters jihadists, urging Egypt to block them. Egypt insists the Rafah crossing on its side remains open, but Israel's control of the Palestinian side has blocked aid since October 2023. Critics say Egypt's crackdown reflects pressure to avoid straining ties with Israel and the U.S., despite public sympathy for Palestinians. Over 186 activists have been charged with threatening state security since the war began, according to the Egyptian Initiative for Personal Rights. The global march to Gaza was meant to be a powerful call for action, but it's been halted before it could even start. What do you think? Should Egypt allow these protests, or are their security concerns valid? Drop your thoughts in the comments below.
All right, let's get talking about it, y'all. We've discussed this issue of states' rights, nations' sovereignty, autonomy, all that kind of stuff like that. And sure, I think there could be reason to protest and want a nation or government to make different decisions and move differently. But when you realize that you're not in Kansas anymore, and when in Rome, do as the Romans, it becomes pretty bad. So let's look at this clip and let me know what y'all think. Let's go.
Beg you, I'll go onto my knees and I will beg you. The women are trying to feed their dying babies and their breasts are empty. Do you know what that smells like? Do you know what that sounds like? For humanity and for love, stand with your brothers and sisters in Palestine. I have never seen or experienced anything like it, please. I beg you, I'll go onto my knees and I will beg you. I'm a proud man and I'm a nurse. I paid to go to Palestine myself. I've had babies die in my arms. They shot pregnant women in front of me. For the love of humanity and for the love of Islam, please don't do this.
What's up, everyone? This is Lavish. If you're in Cairo, stay here. Do not leave. We came to Egypt with the promise that we would break the blockade and bring humanitarian aid to the Rafah border. Being stopped one time is not failure. We will be able to do what we have set out to accomplish. We are here being prevented by the Egyptian government from breaking the blockade and bringing humanitarian aid to Gaza. But we knew this was the case the whole time, and Egypt is not our enemy. We know they are complacent in this genocide, but they are not our enemy. And please, if you are still in Cairo and you were at one of those checkpoints yesterday, we need you to make a video and post about your experience, letting the world know what is going on here. We have not yet achieved what we set out to. We are still here, and the only thing between us and Gaza is an arbitrary line.
They're based in the UK, and they organize actions such as youth demand. You can do more, we can do more, we matter. If you say no, there's no genocide possible. Let's not let Israel and the Zionists dictate what this world is going to look like tomorrow. Let's stop repeating history over and over and over and over again.
It's heartbreaking and infuriating that Egypt, a support ally for Palestine, has denied our peaceful march to Gaza. We are here over 80 countries united, marching unarmed, seeking only justice for Gaza. Yet, we met with force and repression. We are arrested, deported, and even haunted in our hotel rooms by police and intelligence. How can a nation that claims to stand for the oppressed be so blind to genocide that happening in Gaza? We are fighting for innocent lives, but instead of support, we face hostility. The world is silenced as thousands are killed. We are punished for demanding justice. How much longer we will allow this injustice to continue? We will not be silenced. Gaza's blood is on all of us.
The Egyptian people, this is your moment to actually, I'm not telling you to overthrow your government. I'm saying protect the convoy and walk with that convoy. Take it to Gaza and end this bloody blockade. Because you can do that. He can't throw all tens of millions of people in prison. He can't do that. There's just not enough cells. You know, this is your moment to actually do this. I think Dr. Mohammed Tahir said it best, to the Ummah, this is it. This is the moment where humanity will decide what happens to Palestine. And the Egyptian people, the world is watching you. Forget Sisi. We know his bed, where it's laid. We know who his sponsors and backers are. And if he wants to change his history, he'll just get out of the way. But we know he might try and interfere with this entire convoy in multiple ways. False flag operation. So many things that governments have tried before to deny access or stop humanitarian aid getting into occupied Palestine. But the Egyptian people can make a huge difference in this moment. And this is the world watching you surround that convoy and take it to Gaza.
Dozens of violent thugs in civilian clothes started to attack us, despite the fact that we were totally peaceful.
This walk to Gaza is an initiative among many others in order to raise public awareness and put pressure on international governments so there might be an end to this genocide.
Egyptian authorities have detained and deported scores of foreign nationals arriving in Cairo to participate in the Global March to Gaza, an international initiative aimed at peacefully mobilizing thousands to walk to the Rafah border crossing with the besieged Gaza Strip. Egypt denied them permits for the march and is now blocking and deporting foreign participants. But what's driving Egypt's decision? There appears to be several overlapping factors. First, pressure from Israel. Israel is deeply opposed to any mass mobilization at Rafah. Its government claims such marches threaten military operations and could provoke instability near the border. Egypt's foreign ministry issued a statement welcoming foreign delegations, but warning that anyone travelling to Sinai must obtain prior government permission. This statement followed a public demand by Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz, who warned that the Sumud convoy, a separate yet parallel mission involving a land-based aid caravan travelling across North Africa, should be blocked. He said, "I expect the Egyptian authorities to prevent the arrival of jihadist protesters at the Egypt-Israel border, and not to allow them to carry out provocations or attempt to enter Gaza." Egyptian officials and pro-government media figures have accused the march of trying to embarrass Egypt and undermine its image. Some parliamentarians warned that unrest at the Rafah border could provide cover for Israel's push to forcibly displace Palestinians into the Sinai, a plan Egypt has vocally opposed since it was floated in 2023. Egypt's crackdown on protest is significant. Marches and demonstrations are tightly controlled, with hundreds of Egyptians detained for participation in public protests about Gaza. Now, what does this mean for the Sumud convoy, which is still trying to reach Egypt from the west? Composed of over 1,500 people from Tunisia, Algeria, Mauritania, and other African countries, it is currently travelling through Libya and hopes to enter Egypt via the Saloum land crossing. Unlike the Global March, the Sumud convoy is transporting aid and symbolic supplies. Organisers say they are awaiting a response from Egyptian authorities.
A little story about anti-Israel lefties getting a very big mugging by reality. Meet the geniuses behind something called the Global March to Gaza. Yes, that's right, you heard correctly, who have decided that it would be a real swell idea at a high old time to fly to Egypt and from there try to march into the Gaza Strip on foot to open up the territory to humanitarian relief. Here you see some of their supporters cheering those heading off from Amsterdam's Schiphol airport. And boy, that guy in the blue shirt, look at him there on the right, he really looks like he'd be a lot of fun at parties. But, of course, these guys forget that not long after the October 7th attacks, Egypt sealed its border with Gaza. Why? Well, because they didn't want to wind up like Lebanon did in 1970, or later than that, or Jordan in 1970, or anywhere else. The Palestinians and the PLO went to spread their special sunshine across the Middle East. So how do you think the Egyptians reacted to these silly white Western liberals presuming to undo their own blockade of Gaza? About as well as you would expect. Yes, that's right. Everyday Egyptians decided that they would beat the ever-loving you-know-what out of these activists with belts and shoes and whatever else they had to hand. Not to be outdone, Egyptian officials themselves were not too pleased either.
There's people in masks. There's people in masks.
They hate people in masks.
Please, someone screen record this. There's people in masks dragging people out.
How dare they be in masks?
I'm sorry, but can these people just decide whether or not they like masks or not? Honestly, it's so hard to keep up these days. But anyway, here's more from one of the participants.
This is an emergency. We have just been violently dragged into the buses here at the first checkpoint on the way to Ismailia. We were sitting quietly and not doing anything. We were debating that we would leave soon in taxis back to Cairo because we did not break any law. And all of a sudden, several people stormed in and they started to push people and drag them violently outside.
Anyway, finally, the mob said farewell in the classy manner for which the activist left is known. Here they are saying farewell to Egypt with a song.
You Israel! You Israel! You Egypt! You Egypt!
Anywho, the reason I bring this up is because you know this really just feels like a progressive version of European colonialism, with the great white saviors coming down from the continent to tell the Egyptians how to run their country and their border. But guess what? Our European friends wound up on the pointy end of decolonization as the Egyptians told them, quite rightly, what's the saying? Go back where you came from.
I think it's very interesting. So we're watching this in 4K, and I think it's interesting because this is it. You are seeing that white savior complex, that white savior caping for coming telling the Egyptians what to do, how to run their nation, how to tell Israel how to run their nation. It's pretty interesting, and I don't think it's going to go as well as I think it is. Israel and Egypt seem to be lockstep, and we'll see what continues to happen. But I want to know what you think down in the comments below. Feel free, keep it civil, but I want to hear what you're thinking about this. So let's keep that conversation rolling. Thank you so much for liking, sharing, and subscribing. Thank you to everybody who's hit the like button and hit the subscribe button. I'm glad you're finding value in this and you chose to subscribe to the channel. You're helping us get closer to our goal of 50,000 subscribers, and I really do appreciate it. So everybody, until next time, grace and peace.